Oh, thank you. Margie, we can hardly see you, but I see the most gorgeous Tiffany lamp. If you can turn the screen a little bit,
All
we'll
right, welcome everyone.
welcome.
We our creation spirituality, we now call ourselves First Sundays. And it's an interfaith worship experience, embracing difference and finding wholeness. It's an active experience. So we invite you to participate in ways that feel comfortable. Gallery view is the best way to see everyone. And you can make your gallery view wider by sliding the two double lines in the center to the right or to the left. We'll have some sharing time in small groups towards the end. And also we'll use the chat button to identify where we're from and a few other things when we first start out. And so creation spirituality, just a quick overview definition of it, honoring all of creation as original blessing. Creation spirituality integrates the wisdom of Eastern and Western spirituality and global indigenous cultures with the emerging scientific understanding of the universe and the passion of creativity. It is both a tradition and a movement celebrated by mystics and agents of social change from every age and culture. It is also the tradition of the historical Jesus himself, since it is the wisdom tradition of Israel. There's the link if you want to look it up to read more later. I'm going to turn it over to Charlie to introduce the principle for this month.
So each month we focus on one of the 12 principles of creation spirituality. And here we are now in the 12th month. And our principle for this month is ecological justice is essential for the sustainability of life on Earth. Ecology is the local expression of cosmology. An outflow of creation spirituality is the commitment to live in the light of this value, pass on the beauty and health of creation to future generations.
Thank you. Our team members, to introduce our team members, we have Patty McGrath and Michael Mansfield and Charlie Dorset. And we welcome all of you here tonight. Joining the circle, Patty.
If we were together in the same room, we'd be standing in a circle and holding hands. So we are going to try to do this virtually with our little squares. And so we join together by using the chat. And we understand if Judith can't use the chat, that's okay. But most of us will put in the chat where it's wonderful to put where you're calling in from, and who are the native people who originally lived on the land where you are, where we are. I live on the land of the Manahoac and the Piscataway Conoy peoples. So we put that in the chat, and the idea is to know that not only would we be joining in a circle and holding hands, but we would be welcoming each other into this circle with what's called the glance of darshan. Darshan is a look of a loving gaze. We give each other the gift of a loving gaze, which means that we welcome you. All of us are welcomed into this circle, regardless of who we are, what is the basis of our beliefs and status and whatever. It doesn't matter. Here, everyone is welcome into this circle. Absolutely, positively, everyone. So if you've entered, I thank you very much. If you've entered your name and your pronouns, where you're calling in from, and the native people from your original land that you're on. And from that, we'll go to connecting to our Creator, which Lori will lead us in.
Oh. As we now have welcomed each other into this circle, let's move more deeply into our connection with our Creator or Source. You're invited to take a few slow, deep breaths. Invite your body to relax and soften anything that has become too tight within. Shake yourself out a bit. Become more comfortable in your own skin. Follow the rising and falling of your breath. Center in your personal rhythm. Invite yourself in your own way to turn your awareness toward the vital life force that is within and all around you, and the vital love force that binds the universe together. Hold a moment in stillness with me. Let the stillness surround you. Invite yourself to become present to the deep reservoir of life that resides in this stillness. As a symbol of this renewed connection with our Creator, if it feels comfortable to you, we invite you to light a candle. You can light a real candle, or hold the picture of a candle, or find a picture of one on your cell phone and hold it up, or imagine your thumb as a candle. All of these lights remind us of the one light, the first light, our connection to the first beginning, the great flaring forth of creation. We now acknowledge this light and remember that everything in the known universe has its origin in a single point of light. We all stand together in the light of creation. What we do next is take a moment to honor the directions. You can do this seated, or you can stand up if you want and turn and face the directions as we go through this. We're going to start with the north. Look to the north and see the white swan. Acknowledge the powers of strength, wisdom, knowledge, and old age, and the first power of creation, wind. This is the season of winter. Look to the east and see the red firebird. Acknowledge the powers of rebirth, protection, and enlightenment, and the second power of creation, fire. This is the season of spring. Now turn to the south and see the yellow meadowlark and acknowledge the powers of warmth, happiness, security, and all that is physical, flowers, herbs, rocks, and all that is the third power of creation, earth. This is the season of summer. Look to the west and see the black raven and acknowledge the powers of darkness, the unknown, the spirit world, purification and protection, and the fourth power of creation, water. This is the season of autumn. Thank you. I'm going to turn it over to Michael now to lead us in body prayer.
Thank you, Lori. Today we're going to have the opportunity to learn a chant and to sing it together. We won't be able to hear one another because we'll be muted, but we are actually filling our spaces with that sound, and that's a gift to our homes, our apartments, wherever we're sitting today. And it's a gift to the universe because that will connect. We're going to choose a chant from the Lakota people that was taught to us by one of our teachers at the university. And it's an opportunity for us to just hear in another story, hear in another song, a story that we possibly could recognize as coming from our tradition as well. But it's that finding the same within the differences that is such a gift when we sing together. May we walk in beauty. That much. If you can sing, may we walk in beauty, Second line, may we walk in peace. May we walk in peace. Now we're going to put those two together. May we walk in beauty. May we walk in peace. We'll try it again. May we walk in beauty. May we walk in peace. So we've got those two phrases, and then we just add all our relations, all our relations. So it's just saying that if we're thinking there's any difference, sorry, we're all connected, we're all related. So if we put it together, may we walk in beauty, may we walk in peace, may we walk in beauty, may we walk in peace, all our relations, all our relations. Let's see how we're doing. May we walk in beauty, may we walk in peace, again. May we walk in beauty, may we walk in peace, all our relations, all our relations. And so for those who wish, you can do it in the chair or you can do it standing, however you'd like to be involved, however much of your body you want to bring to it. I'm going to be standing just for the example that we can actually step toe, heel, toe, heel, toe, heel, toe, heel. So we're just making sure that we don't smash anything, we don't crush a bug, we don't crush a blade of grass. And if we're being mindful, the toe heel will prevent us from doing that. And so as we're doing that, we're going to have our hands up. And we're just going to, that's the gesture for may we walk in beauty. Look at everything around us. Our hands are up. And then may we walk in peace. The hands turn over and look at imagine the land being at peace and being all connected. Let's just see what happens when we put that much together. May we walk in beauty. May we walk in peace. May we walk in beauty. May we walk in peace. And then we start turning. Oh, I've lifted up my arms so that I can turn. And I'm just going to walk around in my steps around myself. All our relations. And I bow to everybody and everything that's in the planet. And I go the other way. Hands up, turning, walking. All our relations. May we walk in beauty. May we walk in peace. May we walk in beauty. May we walk in peace. All our relations. All our relations. May we walk in beauty. May we walk in peace. May we walk in beauty. May we walk in peace. All our relations. All our relations. All our relations. All our relations. I'm not sure. Is it Charlie?
Yes.
Yes.
So we have joined together in a virtual circle. We have joined the conscious connection to our Creator. We have enlivened and embodied our spirituality through body prayer. And now we come to the chance for each of us to start where we are, to name what is for us right now, to take stock of what is present with us in this moment especially. We are going to be using the chat box for sharing. We ask that you be respectful with what you learn from someone else and hold confidentiality to our circle. As a way of honoring where we are, some of your responses will be read aloud as the chat box is filled. So take a moment with me of stillness to notice what you are bringing with you to the time of connection and community. On the first path, the path of awe, wonder, and gratitude, where have you experienced awe? Where have you experienced wonder or gratitude this week? Please use the chat box to name them.
Hiking in the woods. I am bringing happiness tonight that there are so many gathered here. A bright harvest moon over the mountain here. Gratitude to my healthcare providers, Jonathan. Awe at the beautiful night sky. Neighbors helping me as I was ill. The red-shouldered hawk sat in a tree in front of the house for almost 20 minutes. Having the opportunity to learn from and connecting with amazing and like-minded people. I'm in awe of people's ability to grow and learn and have an increasingly open mind. Awe at the wonderful copper-colored leaves of the beech trees in my woods. Hanging on. Refreshing rain for the thirsty earth.
And as we enter onto the second path, where in your life have you experienced darkness, letting go, mystery, or loss this week? You can name any kind of darkness, mystery, grief, or loss, or things that you do not understand. This is a place to mention any grief, sadness, regret, or loss of others that has stirred your heart.
Friends who are sick this week. Sadness for the loss of life in the Gaza war. Total grief over renewed bombings in Gaza. Watching the destruction of the natural environment all around that continues to occur at a rapid pace. Difficult internal struggles this week, Jonathan. Physical struggles, Robin. My son lost his job. I fear for his future. Grandson mentally ill in hospital.
Now, as we turn to the third path, in the midst of so much change, we were called in different ways to give birth to new creations. Using the chat box, please name one or two places where you have been called to give or to create. The places where you are being called to expand your creativity. This is a place to mention others who are giving birth to new things and express your support for them.
the gift of Awen to create even when I don't feel like doing anything. Helping to create new services at my church. Creating the New Jersey Wild Earth Spiritual Community that Robin is working on. The PAX community is sponsoring 26 families for Christmas. I love working on this. Climate activist events. Planting vegetable seedlings and harvesting broad beans. Losing my sense of self as I draw.
And now, as we turn onto the fourth path, this is the place to name the transformations taking place in yourself and in others. It is also a place to honor transformations taking place in our culture, our earth, our social interactions, and our deepest understandings. It is also a place to name and remember the transformers that have inspired you.
Pope Francis. Linking with young activists to protect the environment from highway expansion. The joy of a second family to carry me through and become better. Thomas Berry. Blessed memory of Jeremy Taylor, great teacher of dream wisdom. Claiming to call to share echo theology, Robin. Learning to take better care of and assert myself, Jonathan.
Infinite love, eternal source, never-ending wisdom. Our physical being is born of stardust. Our immortal being lives in the breath of our Creator. We are the beloved children of the One. You hold and welcome us as we are, your blessed and beloved creation. You join us in times where we are filled with awe, wonder, and gratitude. For the birds that fly through the sky and sit in our trees and smile down on us. For the leaves that hold on to those same trees with all their might, inspiring us to hold on even in our dark times. The strength to walk through the woods, and for the goodness that we find in others, even when it's hard to see sometimes. You comfort and connect us when we feel alone through loss. As bad news ripples out from the wars in Ukraine and Israel. For those that are struggling and who are in hospital right now, and as we tend to those in our lives who need us, even sometimes when it feels like we are using up so much of ourselves, you give us strength to push through. You inspire us to bring forth the essential medicine for the soul and offer creativity that heals and rejuvenates us. The inspiration that flows through us even when we don't feel like making new things, for creating new spiritual communities, and for helping to create new services in our churches, for climate activist events that are rising up to raise awareness for this world and the changes that we need to make, and for planting new vegetable seedlings and harvesting broad beans. You call us to justice making and to live beyond ourselves in service to the community that we are a part of. from the second families that nurture us, to linking young activists together to protect the environment, Pope Francis and Thomas Berry and Jeremy Taylor, who taught us how to interpret and see and learn from our dreams, and for claiming all that we can to get the ideas of ecotheology out there, and for learning to take better care and to assert our needs for ourselves. You embrace us just as we are in this moment. Blessed be Aho. Amen.
Thank you so much, Charlie. So what we'd like to do now is join together in kind of a group exercise in sharing the Haudenosaunee Thanksgiving. It's called Thanksgiving Address, but actually it's the introduction to any meeting of the community. They don't just use it one day a year. They teach it to the children, and the children say it at the beginning of school assemblies and so forth. Anything that's important starts with this, because the response is going to be, and now our minds are one. So everybody should try to say that response. And now our minds are one. Okay. So we had some early people log on early, and we signed them up as volunteers. So we have 5 slides of the prayer that Lori has made up with beautiful pictures of it from a Native American artist. And I'll read slide 1, and slide 2 will be Jan. And you'll remember to unmute Jan when it comes to slide 2. And then slide 3 will be Jonathan and Robin, and you guys can divide it up however you want. Lolo has no part. Slide 4 will be Ken, and slide 5 will be Linda. Okay? So we begin with thanks, of course, to our Native American brothers and sisters who directed Robin Wall Kimmerer to share this with us. This is Native American spirituality with permission. Okay, it's an important thing to think about and to remember, that we have permission to do this, and actually direction. So I'll pause and let everyone know when we're going to say, now our minds are one. The people. Today we have gathered and we see that the cycles of life continue. We have been given the duty to live in balance and harmony with each other and all living things. So now we bring our minds together as one, as we give greetings and thanks to each other as people. And now
our minds are
one.
The Earth Mother. We are all thankful to our mother, the Earth, for she gives us all that we need for life. She supports our feet as we walk about upon her. It gives us joy that she continues to care for us, as she has from the beginning of time. To our mother we send greetings and thanks. And now
our
minds are one.
The waters. We give thanks to all the waters of the world for quenching our thirst and providing us with strength. Water is life. We know its power in many forms: waterfalls and rain, mists and streams, rivers and oceans. With one mind, we send greetings and thanks to the spirit of water. And now
our minds are one.
the fish. We turn our minds to all the fish, life in the water. They were instructed to cleanse and purify the water. They also give themselves to us as food. We are grateful that we can find pure water. So we turn now to the fish and send our greetings and thanks.
And now
Now
our
our
minds
minds
are
are
one.
one.
the plants. Now we turn towards the vast fields of plant life. As far as the eye can see, the plants grow, working many wonders. They sustain many life forms. With our minds gathered together, we give thanks and look forward to seeing plant life for many generations to come.
Now our minds
Minds
are
are
one.
one.
The food plants. With one mind, we turn to honor and thank all the food plants we harvest from the garden. Since the beginning of time, the grains, vegetables, beans, and berries have helped the people survive. Many other living things draw strength from them too. We gather all the plant foods together as one and send them a greeting of thanks.
Now
And
our
now our
minds are
Minds
one.
are one.
The medicine herbs. Now we turn to all the medicine herbs of the world. From the beginning, they were instructed to take away sickness. They are always waiting and ready to heal us. We are happy there are still among us those special few who remember how to use these plants for healing. With one mind, we send greetings and thanks to the medicines and to the keepers of the medicines. Now,
And now our minds are one.
the animals. We gather our minds together to send greetings and thanks to all the animal life in the world. They have many things to teach us as people. We are honored by them when they give up their lives so that we may use their bodies as food for our people. We see them near our homes and in the deep forests. We are glad they are still here, and we hope that it will always be so.
And now
And
our
now
minds
our
are
minds
one.
are one.
Mm.
The trees. We now turn our thoughts to the trees. The earth has many families of trees who have their own instructions and uses. Some provide us with shelter and shade, others with fruit, beauty, and other useful things. Many people of the world use a tree as a symbol of peace and strength. With one mind, we greet and thank the tree life.
Now,
And
our
now
minds
our
are
minds
one.
are one.
The birds. We put our minds together as one and thank all the birds who move and fly about our heads. The Creator gave them beautiful songs. Each day they remind us to enjoy and appreciate life. The eagle was chosen to be their leader. To all the birds, from the smallest to the largest, we send our joyful greetings and thanks. Now
And now our minds
are
are one.
the four winds. We are thankful to the powers we know as the four winds. We hear their voices in the moving air as they refresh us and purify the air we breathe. They help us to bring the change of seasons. From the four directions they come, bringing us messages and giving us strength. With one mind, we send our greetings and thanks to the four winds.
Now,
And now our minds are one.
We have now arrived at the place where we end our words. Of all the things we have named, it was not our intention to leave anything out. If something was forgotten, we leave it to each individual to send such greetings and thanks on their own way. And now,
Now our minds are one.
so this translation came from the Haudenosaunee website. There's actually a website. And now Lori is going to tell us about the artist whose work she had on each of these slides, because this woman is a prominent Native American artist.
Yes. Her name is Maxine Noel, which is also, and I do not know how to pronounce it, but I know that the name was given to her because it meant walks beyond. And she's well known in Canada working for Indigenous women that have been disappeared and murdered. And she's been fighting for them for a long time. And so we decided each of these slides has some of her artwork, her beautiful, beautiful artwork. So we just wanted to acknowledge where that came from. I'm going to turn it over to Michael.
Thanks, Lori. Thank you, Patty. Thank you, community, for being the voice for creation tonight. I think that as we recall our 12th month here, our 12th step of our creation spirituality is that all of ecology is the local expression of cosmology. So everything that's happening here in our home, in our life, is the local expression of what's happening in the stars, what's happening in the universe. And so I found myself going on a journey to find out about this word Thanksgiving. And so to discover that for thousands of years, the native communities here on Turtle Island, which is what our area of land in the United States is known as, that they would do a harvest ceremony every fall. And it was probably inclusive of words very similar to the ceremony we just did together. Sometimes they use the word protocol. It's another way to describe when you do something that has meaning, when you do something that is that we're going to do over and over again because it teaches us each time anew. And so they had this harvest ceremony for years. And then we imagine 1492, these colonists starting to show up. And these colonists starving and unable to figure out how to make it here. And for years, the native community taught the folks how to plant seeds, to plant potatoes, to plant squash, to plant corn, to how to figure out how to live in this part of the world. And we have this history, a shared history for a while of collaboration and some partial understanding of how to be together in this space. By 1621, it was actually then a celebration was named and was captured in the imaginations of that moment, that there would be this first American harvest of the Americans who were harvesting something for the first time, and that we would celebrate that. And so this notion of appropriating the concept of a harvest ceremony and calling it first American harvest came, and it's documented in some paintings, and it's got some street cred that has then, of course, come into all of our education systems and trainings about what happened on that first day when the native community and the colonists had a shared meal. If we go ahead to 1776, and then we're putting our country together in a way, and of course we've changed our relationships with the native communities severely by this point. And George Washington created a day that he called a Thanksgiving Day to celebrate the US Constitution. So he was interested in making sure that there was a day to celebrate that Constitution and the fact that people had made it here and had set up a government, and I suppose had been successful in their separation from Britain and other places. So what I'm really bringing up here is how this day has had a history. And then in 1863, Abraham Lincoln, he said, there's a break in the Civil War. We should have a Thanksgiving Day for peace. And we work our way up to World War 1939 and Franklin Roosevelt, and the end of the Depression and the beginning of these wars and our involvement in them. And he said, let's move Thanksgiving Day up 2 weeks into November earlier, because we had kind of got the pattern of a later November date. And he said, let's move it up 2 weeks, because then people will be able to go out and spend some money and it'll help the depression. It'll help with the recovery effort. And so the people named that Franksgiving because they hated it. They loved it being later in November. And so why were there 2 Thanksgivings this year? And it was very confusing. And again, we're just noticing how this has been used over the centuries or over the centuries to accomplish different things. And in 1941, Franklin Roosevelt then said, okay, it's set. It's the 4th week of November, Thanksgiving Day. And then in 1969, as with many things that were happening in the 60s, the Native community starting to find a voice, and the idea that we all could speak up at this point in history, said we should take back some land. And so they got out to Alcatraz Island and they said that this is sacred land and it's been ours for years, and we took it over and from them, and we're going to take it back. And they did it for like 20 months. They reclaimed the land and had that island, and it was part of that story for that period of history for just 20 months. Of course, eventually the thing would break down. The island itself broke down with their internal squabbles, but then the government came in and removed the rest of the people. But it was such a galvanizing image for us that in the 1970, right, as this thing was falling apart a bit, that then in Massachusetts, they started calling Thanksgiving Day a national day of mourning for the Native community, and to celebrate it with that awareness that this ecology has so broken down and has been so distorted over the years, and the idea that it's just a turkey dinner and has lost other significances of how land was important and land was taken away. And this ecology used to be very much more integrated. It's not now. And then in 1975, back on Alcatraz, they started holding on Thanksgiving Day, the Indigenous Peoples Thanksgiving Sunrise Gathering. And so again, I'm just looking at the words of how this day has been called over the years and what things have been attached to it and what people have thought about it. And what a rich story this day has, at least in our own history, to even embody the questions that are hiding in it, such that they now call it unthanksgiving. And so they are celebrating this day as a day to call us all into consciousness, into an ecology where we can sort out what's important here and what's the goal of this, and what's our value system, and what do we need to do to change that. And one of the cries from this time on Alcatraz was, we're still here. We're still here. The Native community is still here. They're still here everywhere. But it's as if we've forgotten. And so their cry of we're still here, to me, has become a beautiful image of how we could say, what is it about Thanksgiving that we could reclaim? I've got 2 very small videos. One will talk about land acknowledgement, which I think could be a new way to think about Thanksgiving. Could we actually acknowledge the land we're on, which seems to go way back to the Native community when they blessed the waters and the sky and the land and the animals like we did today. So we'll watch that. And then the second one's just a brief version of how they've tried to do that at UC Berkeley, because these land acknowledgements are ideally to be used just as our colleague who wrote this script for us today, and I've forgotten her name, I'm sorry, she has directed us to say it. And so there's these directions coming now to, when you gather, can we call everyone back to the land? So that's why they're called land acknowledgements. Let's watch the first one. And if you go straight to the second one, then Lori, I think you may need to increase the volume on the second one because there's one speaker who doesn't speak up.
We have a question.
Oh, sure.
Well, actually, it's not a question. It's actually another term that I learned from a teacher of mine who was part Native American and also part African American. He's now deceased. And he taught me to call it Thanksgiving,
Oh,
which brings the things together. So I
wow.
just wanted to mention that, Michael.
Thank you. Thank you. That's
Good
awesome that here's the community working to tell a story and make it bigger.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, we'll start with the first one.
UC Berkeley sits on a territory of
the Huichin, the ancestral and unceded land
of the Chochenyo speaking Ohlone people,
the successors of the sovereign Verona Band of Alameda County. This land was and continues to be of great importance to the Muwekma Ohlone tribe and other familial descendants of the Verona Band. We recognize that every member of the Berkeley community has and continues to benefit from the use and occupation of this land since the institution's founding in 1868.
Support local businesses owned by Native peoples.
Make a donation to the Shumi Land Tax, which directly supports Segorati's work of rematriation. We are still here.
We are still here.
We
are still here.
We are still here.
Michael, was there more of that?
No, that's the short one. And then there, if the other one is there, then we'll do the other one.
Okay.
Before I begin this morning, I'd like to recognize the Algonquin Nation, on whose traditional territory we are gathering. We acknowledge them as the past, present, and future caretakers of this land.
Wherever I go on God's green earth, I do the Lakota tradition of acknowledging the four directions, the land, and the people living there. Unchimaka, as I call Grandmother Earth, the land, I view her as a sacred, living entity, and that's the way we acknowledge it in, Lakota thought and philosophy.
As a Native person, I'm ready for any kind of confrontation that might come up, or I'm preparing myself to remind people of all those things that they forget about. I was at a meeting in Minneapolis, and the room was primarily non-Native people. I was in a non-Native organization, but this executive director got up and said, okay, we're gonna get started. So everybody, was sitting down and getting quiet. And she said, I'd like to get started by acknowledging the indigenous culture of Minnesota. And I was like, whoa. And it just made everything fall away a little bit from me. My guard went down. I was more relaxed because by saying that, that means she understands something that is just you can't talk about, right? It just relaxed me as a minority, as a woman, and as a Native person. It just pulled away this layer that's always there, It was super cool.
We're at a time where non-Native cultures are understanding the traditions of indigenous peoples for probably the first time in our histories. So when I go to New Zealand, the protocol is to acknowledge each other's ancestors and your mountains and your rivers. And that's such a beautiful tradition. When people are in that space and say, we acknowledge who you are, this land, where your people come from, they're saying we acknowledge a relationship, but we're also creating that relationship. This is a good thing.
The important thing would be that folks would then sit with that. What does it mean that our settlement is occupying this space? And what responsibility do I have considering that legacy to these contemporary things, right? And how do I stop distancing myself from that? Ideally, that would be, for me, the impact that this has.
If you start acknowledging that the land that you're standing on and the space that you are in belong to people that are still here, makes so much more room for understanding of all these other issues. It's one of those little things that if it could just tip a little bit, all the dominoes that could fall from it, I think are important.
No, now I'm like imagining it and like wanting to live in that, like the thing that I'm imagining, like, yeah, that's actually really beautiful.
It's just being a genuine human being to acknowledge each other's histories, the good and the bad.
Thank you, Lori. Thanks to all. So this is an opportunity. I felt that young woman at the end when she says, I'm imagining this. What an amazing thing to say. Just to even imagine where we could talk about this and allow the communities to really reflect on what could be done together. When we think of all the treaties that were just ignored and broken, when we think of all of the sacred lands that are continuing to be upset and taken advantage of. I don't even know how to talk about it. And how the cultures and the wisdom traditions of each of these communities have never been put back in place with all of this work that we're trying to do now. So I see it as this great gift where we can really bring this community together, our whole human community together in a dialogue to say, how could we do a land acknowledgement? I'll add one thing is that there's even then been, oh, okay, we'll do this everywhere all the time. And then like they record it and then they just play it at things. That has really backfired. So it has to have a human touch on it. It has to have the we're still here message in it, where we're speaking as the community, with the community, for the community to do some change work here. Because if we then dismiss it as just this thing we do at the beginning of whatever, the theater piece or then something goes wrong, because then people are like slapped across the face with it and they don't understand. It has to be given the context. And so we've taken the time today to really give it the context in our opening with our own calling in the 4 directions and with our ritual that we did together with all of those calling in all of the animals and to greet them and thank them. Oh my heavens. So an opportunity for us to reflect together, and I'll step away. The respect guidelines are here. I forget if someone else was going to say those.
I'll go over them real quickly, and we usually just read these before we get into our discussion. And so R is for take responsibility for what you say and feel without blaming others. E is use empathetic listening. S is be sensitive to differences in communication styles. P, ponder what you hear and feel before you speak. E, examine your own assumptions and perceptions. C, keep confidentiality. And T, trust ambiguity, because we are not here to debate who is right or who is wrong. So this is when we open up and allow for discussion. And we haven't had this many people in quite a while, so we hadn't needed to break into smaller groups. I don't know if we want to do that or not tonight. What do you think?
I think we should break into smaller groups. Let's see, is Judith? Yeah, Judith is still on. Judith, you can be in a small group, right?
Sure.
Okay, all right. So why don't you break us into 3 groups? You think, Lori? And then we'll come back in about 12 or 13 minutes, at least 13 minutes. Okay, so we'll have time to discuss. Okay, great.
Thank you all for
Welcome.
sharing.
Yeah, we had some wonderful sharing in our group. Yeah, thank you. You're still muted, Sylvia, honey.
Was there a question we were supposed to address? Oh, good. Okay, because I thought maybe we didn't get the question, but we did fine anyway.
I had every confidence you would. We're all grown-ups, you know.
Right.
We had one more thing we wanted to share, and that there was a resource. And I think, Michael, are you gonna talk about it?
I'll start. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, but, well,
Oh, am I out of sequence?
perhaps. I was
Okay.
just doing another body prayer.
We can do that, or if our time is, since we have a few other closures, maybe we'll conclude with those today.
Okay. Okay. All right. You want to do this one, Michael? I've lost some of what I have here. Can you still see the screen?
No, we don't see the slides, huh?
Okay, I knew there was something that wasn't right here. Now?
Not yet.
Okay. Okay, I apologize, but I gotta, sometimes once you lose something, you can't find it again. Show taskbar. Okay,
I'll just teach the second verse of the chant while we're waiting. All life is sacred, that much. All life is sacred. The mountains and the seas, the mountains and the seas. All life is sacred. All life is sacred. The animals and the trees, the animals and the trees. All our relations. All our relations. How you doing, Laurie? Not yet? Okay. So if you wish, any gesture, you get to make up your gestures. Otherwise, this is my suggestion. All life is sacred. The mountains and the seas. All life is sacred. There's the little bunny, the animals, and there's the wolf, the animals and the trees. All our relations. All our relations.
Here we are.
I'm almost there. One more.
That's it.
There we go.
Okay.
Okay.
So the opportunity to share gifts, as with all of creation, is to time, talent, treasure, whatever we have, to the extent that we can circulate that and move it out into the world. That is great. The opportunity to donate something here exists, and in the email you'll get later this week, there will be a mailing address if you prefer to do something through the mail. And it's just this reminder that this is how the earth spins right here. This is how the whole world spins. This is how the universe spins. It has to have a flow. It has to keep rotating. And so to the extent that you can be a part of the rotation, we practice that. We practice.
Thank you. Thank you, Michael. All right, we have a couple of last things to send ourselves off, and then we're going to share something that you might find of interest for the coming holiday season. So first we stay on mute, and we're going to bless each other out of this experience. So I will say the line, and then you guys repeat the line, and then the second time around when y'all repeat the line, it'll be out loud because we'll be blessing each other. So please place your hands over your heart and repeat after me. The truth of my being is as radiant as a star.
The truth of my
Being is as radiant as a star.
is as radiant as a star.
The love within me is stronger than any other force in the universe.
The love
Within me is stronger than the other force in the universe.
other force in the universe.
I am a beloved blessing of the Creator.
I am a beloved blessing of the Creator.
Of the Creator.
Aho, blessed be.
Blessed be. Amen.
Keep one of your hands over your heart and put the other out so that you can bless. We can all bless each other.
And unmute.
And unmute. And repeat after me. The truth of your being is as radiant as the star.
Radiant.
Truth of your
being
is
as
as radiant
as a star.
The love within you is stronger than any other force in the universe.
The love within you is stronger than any other force
in the universe.
You are a beloved blessing of the Creator.
You are
a beloved blessing of the Creator.
Aho.
Aho, blessed be.
Aho, blessed be.
Amen.
Amen.
Okay. And now, as we come to the end of our time together, take your candle and transfer the light to your heart and send it forth to bless those who need blessings. We now extinguish this flame even as our connection continues in spirit. And this next piece that I'm going to share with you briefly, Roxanne Whitelight, she started this Creation Spirituality event 3 years ago. And she and her partner had a specific routine that they made up and created that helped them honor the Christmas period. And she calls it the 12 Days of Turning. And just recently, she started a web page on a site called Substack. And the URL is right there, and you can go to it. And she has these wonderful suggestions and these wonderful pictures of the different things they have done for each day of the 12 days of turning, which I think starts at Christmas and goes for those 12 days after. So I'm going to click on the link, and then you can get to see a few of the things. This is her website, and it looks like it's not as small as it's supposed to be. All right, let's see if I can go to the next. I'll just scroll. There you can see. This is one of them. She and her partner live in Hawaii. And so a lot of what they did for their 12 days of turning, the first major ingredient is having 12 candles to light one each day. And then they would have some kind of an altar set up. So that's one day, their altar. And they've chose their own readings and their own poems and things like that. And so this is, you can go and look at this later and make your own if you'd like. Choose your own theme. And she's got all kinds of wonderful ideas about it. And hers are Hawaiian things. That was the theme of theirs, was Hawaiian values. And so you can gather materials and set an environment. They've collected candles. They put the trees up. And on another one, they've got a lot of seashells and stuff because they're in Hawaii.
She kept a record of each year they did something completely different. Totally creative. Yeah.
Isn't that something?
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah.
Lovely.
But her suggestions for using poetry or prayer cards or there were all different ideas on how to celebrate it. And I celebrated it alone, and I had a beautiful poem, a gorgeous poem that I found with a picture of a fox, and I just put the candles around the fox, and I repeated the same poem every night for the 12 nights. So it was really simple, but it was something I ended up looking forward to. And each night I kind of got a different image from the same poem. It was very rich. So I would highly recommend it. And you will get an email. Are you all on the email listings from Creation Spirituality Communities? I know Ken is, Jan is. Linda, are you on the list?
Yep.
Jessica, Judith, do you get the emails
I get the email regarding this gathering. I don't know if I get
Okay.
anything else.
Yes, so there will be an email that summarizes our meeting tonight, and I want to make sure that Jonathan and Robin get it. So maybe Jonathan, you could put your email in the chat or something to make sure that you get it. But it will have this Substack, listing on it. Okay.
Yeah, and I have the link. Yeah. So one thing, I really love the idea of having something to go to for 12 days rather than just all be one evening, one morning, and that's it. I like to have the whole season. I think it's a really nice way to do it. Okay, so there we've got your emails. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, both of you. Yeah, so we'll make sure that you get them. And it's a play on the great turning of Joanna Macy. If you know Joanna Macy's work, Roxanne wanted to do something about the great turning. And so she said, okay, instead of the 12 days of Christmas, we're going to have the 12 days of turning.
Ah, cool.
Yeah.
He's brilliant. He's brilliant. So thank you so much, everyone. This was beautiful tonight.
Yeah, thank you.